guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to Atlas Architect. The last time we played this, we built a kingdom that we called a Lotus. This time, we're going to create an entire continent with multiple countries. They've added a lot of new features since the last time we played, like this compass, the world edge, which you can toggle on and off, which is really exciting. Last time I built my own border. Now I don't have to do that. You can show hexagons. We'll hide those because I don't need them. You can even label things now. You can also see that we have a flood fill, which I have already used to fill us with grassland to get us started. Okay, let's just jump in. We're going to start with a river that spans our whole continent. Rivers are not going to span an entire continent. That's unrealistic. So we will fix that later, but it is our first line of scaffolding. Rivers make the best scaffolding because they determine both geography and your social economic layout. Geographically wise, rivers are going to determine kind of elevation and foliage in the area. And yeah, guys, I know that rivers aren't this straight or this narrow. We will add deviation in direction and thickness, wideness, width later. Yeah, so in terms of like your cities are gonna need to be close to rivers initially because rivers are what allow trade and ease of transportation, as well as they give you the fertile soil that you need to grow crops. So all your oldest cities are gonna be near rivers, which is why I'm always like, rivers are the scaffolding of every world. Okay, so while we're doing this, let's talk about what our continent is named. So the basic there, we'll start with like who lives here. So we'll go with like the three like super easy basic groups: dwarves, humans, and creatures of the fae, which can include elves and what have you. So that's like a really broad starting point. We'll say that the fae and the dwarves have always lived here, and the humans came in and they discovered this and settled here. We'll call it like 1,000 years ago, which is like a long time for humans and like not a lot for a lot of fae, and I don't know how long dwarves lives. Okay, so while we're doing this, we're also going to go ahead and we're going to add the a fork to the river here, and it will help us divide up our land a little bit more, and I will give importance to this fork later. Right, so naming a continent. In order to have a name, we have to have languages, and we've got 3 basic people, so I'm going to choose 3 basic languages. Humans are easy. We're going to go extra basic and choose Latin. A lot of, like, dwarvish, like, armor and stuff that you see depicted in fantasy has, Norse runes on it, so we're going to go ahead and go with Old Norse for our dwarvish base. We're going to use Icelandic for reference because Icelandic is so close to Old Norse that if you read and write Icelandic, you can actually read Old Norse. They even read Norse mythology in Old Norse in school. It's super exciting. If you didn't know, you guys should look it up because I think it's really cool. Yeah, as we finish this river, I'm going to go ahead and start adding some definition and shape to the continent since we're talking about our continent right now. Right, I need a third language. I don't know any languages personally that sound like what I think elves would sound like, so I'm gonna borrow from Tolkien, who has a, his classic elven language is called Quenya, and so we're gonna just borrow that as our elvish language, because I don't know any that I'm just like, yeah, that's what elves would sound like. Though I do think Quenya might actually be based off of Finnish, but I don't know Finnish, so there's that. Yikes. Okay, they didn't add, like, the drag and paint feature that I was super hoping they would eventually add. It's still click every single tile, which means this is going to take quite a while, and it will be quite boring, and I don't want to bore you, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to fast forward it and just do, like, a voiceover. We'll see how it works out, and I hope you guys like it, so ready, set, go! Okie dokie, let's name our continent. So we have our people, and we have our languages, but we have to pick which language our name is going to be based on. And in order to do that, we're going to talk briefly about how places are named. Every language on a continent is going to have a word for the place that they live. But what the rest of the world is going to call that place is going to be based on what they were told that place was called. And in order to tell another people that a place is called something, you have to have contact with that person through trade and commerce and all of that good stuff. So let's consider what this place looked like 1,000 years ago. The Fae lived here, and the dwarves lived here, and the humans stumbled upon it and discovered it and settled it. So that means that the Fae that lived here and the dwarves that lived here hadn't told anyone else that this place existed, which means they had no outside contact. The humans came from somewhere else, so obviously they have contact with wherever they came from, and then probably a lot of places beyond that, because you have contact usually with everybody that you're connected to by land, and then you hit the seas and you stumble across the rest of the world. So presumably the humans have a lot of outside contact. So it'll be the humans that really told the rest of the world what this place was called, which means this place's name is going to be based in Latin. Alright, so that's who names the place. How do you name a place? Well, you name it based off of who discovered it, or who paid for the expedition that discovered it, or what you were looking for when you came here, or what you found when you got here. So let's go with that last option, what you found when you got here. I'm picturing these humans jumping off their ships and they're seeing like expansive valleys and like lots of green rolling hills and lots of grasslands, and then like dramatic mountain faces, and then a dead land, like a dead forests and stuff like that, like a dead land they've never seen that anywhere else before. So I feel like this place would have felt really alien and like almost like a dream. So we're gonna go with that. We're gonna go with awe. And the Latin word for awe, or I think it might be like something worthy of admiration more than awe, is miren. And then land is terra. So 1,000 years ago, humans came to this land and they called this place miren terra. Now, language, names especially, over time, they get shortened and they get mutated. Really. So what would happen over time, especially 1,000 years, which is a long time, we'd drop letters and we'd drop entire sounds and just shorten the name down. So on Terra, we'll of course drop the secondary R, so now it's just T-E-R-A. And miren is 2 syllables, so let's just drop the second syllable entirely. It'll so we're gonna call it Mirterra, M-I-R-T-E-R-A, Mirterra. That is the name of our continent. That's what the rest of the world is going to call us. Now, of course, the Fae are going to have their own word for this place, and so are the dwarves. I don't know what those are yet. But when they're interacting with the outside world, they're going to know that the outside world calls this place Mirterra. And that's the accepted name. Since we are currently shaping our continent, let's talk about the shape of our continent. On the west side, you'll see a bunch of islands. That west side is where we would have broken off from another continent and slowly drifted to form our own continent. I'm talking about continental drift theory. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go ahead and look it up. Makes perfect sense. So because we broke off there, that's why you have a bunch of pieces of island. That's just the parts that got separated, and of course the sea level rose and it filled in any of the lowlands. That's why we have a really big bay on that side. And the northeast corner there, you'll see that there must be a fault line there too, because there are large chunks of land that are separating from our current continent. And there you go, the shape of a continent. You'll see it's starting to look a little less square, and that straight river is starting to look less weird as well. Yay! Okay, with the shape of our continent determined and the river as our guideline, let's go ahead and start adding some climate variation, just like very generic climate variation. So we're going to start by making the south cold. So I'm going to convert that over to snow, and I will start with a couple of freestanding points where I think that the transition might occur. And then I'm going to connect those together with a line that I'm going to give some curvature and variation to, which we will later add elevation and other terrain features that'll explain kind of why the curve is here and whatnot. After that's done, we'll have to follow the shoreline here. And when I'm converting the shoreline, as long as I'm just changing the biome, it doesn't re-roll the land shape, so the land shape should stay the same. And now that I have that, I'm going to fill in the entire area. I'll turn the hex overlay on so it's a little bit easier to see where I need to click. And ta-da, this is what our cold south is going to look like. You'll see on the west coast that all of the little islands, like on the southwest, are snow, but only the southern tips of like that major central island is snow. And then on the east coast, you'll see there's just that one tiny island that is snow. What I tried to do was just kind of pick the line that I thought would be like where the cold begins and make them snowy. Yeah. Okay, on to the north. The north is going to have a lot of deadlands. Remember when I mentioned that there is a fault on the northeast, and that's why we have these large land masses breaking off? Well, along plate boundaries like that, you also get a lot of volcanic activity. So there are going to be volcanoes! And with volcanoes comes a lot of deadlands. And I'm actually going to make the northwest here swampliness instead of like deadland. First, we'll focus on the northeast corner. We'll fill in the shoreline, and then we will make our islands a mix of deadlands and rocks. Perfect. Then we're going to define our outline of our corner up here, and we're going to give it some shape. We're throwing in some rocks to our deadlines here for a bit of variation, and also because, you know, we need a place to put our volcanoes. This is what that looks like when it's done. Now we're going to put some more swamp along the south border here, and along the coast it's going to be a whole lot of jungle with a bit of swamp mixed in. Notice that if you get the jungle too close to the coastline, because you're not changing biomes, it reshapes the land, and I don't really like that. Up here, we want to bring the deadlands and the jungle together, so we'll set it to forest deadland so that we can have like a dead forest. It doesn't work with jungle, it only works with the forest setting. Now, time to add a volcano. Or 6. Or maybe 9. An unreasonable, yet very reasonable amount of volcanoes. And if you feel the need to explain why there are so many volcanoes, well, it's magic. Or the work of gods, whichever is going to work best with your lore that we don't have yet. To finish up this corner up here, I'm going to add a bunch of dead forest to our deadlands, and then I will put regular forest at the boundary of the deadland. Our forest is going to reasonably need water running through it, so we'll actually run the river through it and connect it to the ocean. Dead center there will have a lake, and the volcano, the southern volcano there, the deadlands from it will run straight into the water. Reasonably, the water would stop lava flow. And then we will continue to surround it with the deadlands with the forest. Next, I'm going to add some lakes to our northern and central regions. The lakes will act as both focal points and deviation in our monster river. I'm using a mixture of the water and river tiles to give us a nice variation of shape. We're going to add a river and a lake up by the swamplands because the swamp waters are going to need a source. And I think at some point we're going to add a big lake or a series of lakes to the south that will be our massive river's headwaters. That way the river doesn't really span the whole continent. So at this point, we've put a lot of focus and effort into the shape of our continent and its kind of its structure, its geography, things like that. I want to shift gears now and talk about the people factor. So we're going to go ahead and just start with the humans who landed here and settled here first. So I think that they would have probably arrived right up here in this bay initially. So there's going to be a town there that would have been the very first settlement that they kind of established when they first arrived. And then they would have, of course, come down the river as a way of exploration. They would have come down here and they would have found this lake. And then they would have seen that they can kind of go every direction from this lake. And they would have used that as a launching off point, using the rivers to continue to explore the rest of the continent. Which means the second major settlement would probably be along the shores of this lake. So let's talk about the first kingdom that was formed here by the humans that arrived. So because they named the continent Mirterra, they would have named the kingdom something similar. So we're going to go ahead and just call this the Kingdom of Mira. The Mira Kingdom. Yeah, Mira Kingdom versus the Kingdom of Mira. So, the Mira Kingdom is a human kingdom whose northern boundary is going to be this river. Its eastern boundary is going to be the coast. Its western boundary is going to be the coast, the lake here, and then the river. And I'm not going to give it a southern boundary because I don't know what I'm doing with the south yet, so we'll just leave that. So the capital city of the Mira Kingdom is going to actually be along the lake here. So let's go ahead and build its capital city. So they have this new tile set, the city harbor, and in order for it to work correctly or nicely, You actually have to like put it on an existing water tile, and then you get these nice little ships and whatnot, and they're really cute. So that's what we're doing here. So we're gonna actually put 2 city harbors in here, tiles, maybe 3 depending on how that looks. This one didn't turn out well. I don't like it. Yeah. Maybe we need to make this a water tile here. Would you be happy if I made you a water tile? I love the boat on the land. That's my favorite. We're gonna, if I change that tile there to a city tile, does it correct the boat? Yes, it does. Okay, so we've got some good harborness going on here. What I'm gonna do is then we will have put the castle right here. That's because this is the capital city, remember that. So we've got the castle right here, and then right outside of, you know what, actually, I think right outside of the docks is where you would have the city market, because of course the docks is where everything is coming in at. All of the things are coming in from there. And then I think you'd have like a plaza right here, and you'd have the castle right here. There we go. And then you just have some regular city tiles at this point, kind of surrounding the castle, though I do think that we'll use this city park here, right next to our castle. I don't like how that castle tile turned out, so let's see if we can re-roll it. There we go. I actually like that one. That one looks pretty cool. There we go. So, yeah, let's add maybe a little bit more, I'm looking at size here. Let's add a little bit more houses, because this is the capital city. I feel like it would be really big. Put some cities around the market there. And there. I think maybe do we have another market and then we have a city plaza? Or do we have a plaza and then another market? We're just going to leave it like that. There you go. You have a capital city. So let's name our capital city really quick. So this is the capital city of the Mira Kingdom on the continent of Mirterra. Totally remember what we named things here. So we're going to keep with the Mira theme. So we're going to just take the first part of this and we're going to go with Mir, M-I-R. And then, what's the Latin word for government? Imperium? I'm pretty sure it's Imperium. So, we're going to just smash those two together, and we're going to come up with, with Miriam. So, the capital city here's name is going to be Miriam. So, it would be kind of where your governing body sits, which is why the government there. Alright, so the capital city is here, and it's wonderful, but just outside of any city, you're going to actually have farmland and villages. So, we're going to add some of that. The farmland would be kind of clustered around the river basin, because that's where the most nutritious, rich soil is going to be. So, let's add some of that here, guys. And of course we want to add village mixed in here because of course farms don't just exist by themselves. So this would be all the farmland that is supplying the city with its food. And then since there's another lake here, it would probably transition into another city clustered, not like a city, maybe like a town, clustered around that lake, because lakes are a very good source of food as well. So there you guys go. We have the capital city of our new little kingdom here. And I think then what we would do is we are going to add another city up here. Why do we have smoke coming out of things here? There's smoke coming out of our hills here. I don't have an explanation for that, and it's only specifically right here. It looks like it's the same kind of smoke that comes out of the volcanoes up here. So, right here, the game has decided that we have teeny tiny volcanoes. I don't know what's up with that. I don't know what's going on there. But right here, what we're gonna have is we're gonna have another city, and it would be like the first city that was like established. So what is Latin for trade? Artis? I don't actually know, but this town's gonna be called Port Artis. Port Artis. So what we need is we need a lot of the city harbor tiles, obviously, because there's going to be a lot of city harbor here. So we're gonna go with water, and we're gonna put a water tile here, and we're gonna go with this city harbor tile that didn't spawn anything. That's fine. That's fine. It's cool. I didn't want you to be cooler. Hey, that one spawned a dock now. Okay. So city harbor. I don't know why it's doing this to me. Can you please spawn city harbor the way I want you to? City harbor. Put this right here. And this one right here. None of these have docks. What have I done wrong? Okay, there's a dock here, but it's like going through another piece of land. I don't know what's happening here. I just want this to work, please. Alright. Good enough for me for now. And then... Okay, good enough, guys. It's a little bit frustrating, but it is what it is, because the tiles are kind of random, so they roll how they roll. Alright, so I'm going to actually go ahead and change the color of this this city to, well, it's part of the same kingdom, so we'll leave it. So there's not going to be a, there would not be a castle here because this is not a governing seat. But there would be a lot of market, in my opinion, because this would be the city that gets the most outside trade. So that's what we're putting down here. We're going to put a lot of market, and then the city would, of course, span this entire section here. There we go. It would take up this whole kind of, I don't know. What do you call this? This section of landness. Perfect. So there's a lot of houses, there's a fair amount of market and whatnot. And the name of this city is going to be, we're going to add a city plaza. The city plaza is always where I think people would like enter the city from. Okay, so this place doesn't get a park. It's not cool enough for that. So this place is going to be Port. That's an A, I promise. I don't know what's going on with their text. Port Artis. Alright, so this is wonderful. We've got our 2 cities to our first kingdom that I didn't really give borders to yet, but we do have some lore coming up. Let's really quick talk about what this kingdom would kind of value. Because they were the first people to arrive here, I feel like this kingdom would definitely value trade and capitalism, things like that. So this kingdom's its people are gonna be a lot about entrepreneurship and business and trade skills and things like that. So that's what you find a lot in the Kingdom of Mira. That's what it's known for. Alright guys, I think we're gonna call the episode right here. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Be sure to hit like if you like, subscribe if you're not already. I upload new episodes every week. Okay, thanks, bye!